It's easy to succumb to fatalism or despair about climate change and shrinking biodiversity. But a major new study published in the journal Nature today suggests that while dramatic action does need to be taken, if carefully targeted, restoring 30% of the world's ecosystems could prevent 70% of the projected extinctions and absorb nearly half of the carbon built up in the atmosphere since the Industrial Revolution. Bernardo Strassburg is the founder and executive director of the International Institute for Sustainability in Rio de Janeiro, and he's the lead author of the paper. What drew him, in the first instance, to look at this?
Initially, perception that was generally in the field without being tested is that restoration benefits and costs vary substantially in space. We were seeing a lot of global targets being measured in area restored or in percentage of area restored. And we were getting a bit worried that if we did not get these in the right areas, we'll be losing an amazing opportunity to do real impact.
So what are the right areas?
If you want to maximize the avoidance of extinctions, they will be concentrated in tropical areas, in tropical forests and wetlands, and some savanna areas around the tropical belt, islands pretty much around the world. If you want to maximize your contribution to climate change, then there will be mostly tropical forests and wetlands.
So those are the areas that would need to be prioritised. You talk about restoring ecosystems. What does that mean?
It's basically these areas today. They are currently areas where we grow crops or where we have pasture lands, and we tend not to use these areas very productively. And by ecosystem restoration, we mean identifying the priority areas and taking them back into a natural state. So converting back from what is currently a pasture into whatever type of ecosystem was there.
And in terms of just how this can be coordinated, I mean, if you're talking about 30% of the world's ecosystems, is this anything that sort of individual governments or individual regions can hope to achieve by themselves, or is it the sort of thing that does demand huge global or multinational accord that we've seen forged in the past?
Countries can and historically have done large-scale restoration programs. We have very important examples to learn from South Korea, Costa Rica, Ethiopia. All of them have already implemented large-scale restoration, which gives a degree of feasibility to what we're talking about. But if each country does their own planning in isolation, we're probably going to be quite a bit far off the global optimal solutions. So that calls for international cooperation.
And presumably all this is predicated on action relatively soon. I mean, we quite often on this programme, rather depressingly, sort of look at whether the Amazon, or at least parts of the Amazon, are reaching a tipping point where they turn irrevocably into savanna from rainforest. This is something that needs to be done soon.
Indeed. It's even more important for biomes such as the Atlantic forest in Brazil and many other biodiversity hotspots across the globe that have lost already the vast majority of their original cover. So when climate change hits with greater magnitude over the coming decades, the species would need to migrate or they will become extinct, be it for mitigating climate change globally before we cross dangerous thresholds, be it for avoiding the extinctions of species. There is an urgency to this.
Bernardo Strassburg, founder and executive director of the International Institute for Sustainability in Rio de Janeiro.